So Kev, I'm going to get you to hit the first click to just kind of give everybody a bit of a sense for what we're going to look at today in terms of the five main things we're trying to cover. And for those, you may have noticed that the actual visual just changed from the original screen that a customer would see when they first got to the client application or the new client experience to this new one. And I'm going to explain what that is in just a moment, but just have a look around, take it in. But the five things we really wanted to cover in our time together today was just how we've made some enhancements to make the new client experience much more consumer friendly. We got lots of feedback from current Velocity customers that we could do a real better job in removing some of the industry jargon, some of the language that perhaps could be confusing to customers. And we've really worked hard at trying to making that something we approved upon. Also, it's really important to note that we've tried to make it sort of simple to get through, and you can do it on any platform. So we built this new client experience for mobile, and we'll explain to you how we've done that, how we demonstrate that in the next couple of screens. We've also got some natural integrations, things that you would currently would be having to send out as emails separately to get people to engage to provide tax documents or connect with their bank accounts. That now becomes part of this new next generation of client experience. And then these last two, I'm really excited about. This one here is this intuitive documents requests, kind of otherwise known as SMART rules, which is as a client, if they answer questions in a certain way through the application, the system automatically generates requests for documents that support the answer to that question. So as an example, you're employed, we're going to ask you for things around a letter of employment, pay stub, things of that nature. If you're saying you're selling your home, we're going to talk a little bit about confirmation of current sale as part of your down payment confirmation, things of that nature. So it's intuitive and it's automated at the time that the application is being completed. And then last but not least, this is what you're actually seeing on the right-hand side here, an interactive client dashboard, something that bridges that communication gap post-submission on where are we at? How much further do we have to go? What is my progress? And we're going to talk a little bit about that and ongoing as we get through this presentation together. But this is a brand new to Canada asset that we are bringing to market. We're excited about it, and we think that it'll do a lot to supplement your current client experience by having this sort of communication element of this dashboard that clients can return to. So with that, Kev, I'm going to get you to go to the next screen for us. Client protection, we've made some real enhancements to improve client protection. I mentioned before that we saw that already started an application button. What we've done is we've learned from studying a whole lot of other companies that if we make people do a login right up front, it's one of the greatest reasons they may abandon your actual application. So what we've done is we've put the client in the driver's seat as to when they want to do this. We don't make them do it up front. So they can save it for later. They can do it immediately, whichever kind of serves them. And of course, we share with them that right up front, if you were looking at that home screen, we had an actual security policy we're going to show you here in a second. And it talks a little bit about how we still encrypt all of their data, both when it's in rest and in transit. So it's not necessarily a requirement for them to have a login in order to proceed and feel confident that we're handling their data privately and with some security in question. So you'll notice on the security policy, we've used basic consumer-friendly language, but we've also got some elements in there that use the odd technical term for those people that might be your customers that are into that sort of technology talk, whether it be TLS or encryption or 24-bit, those kinds of languages are there. But basically what you can say to your customers that we use bank grade or better security in order to protect their data. We're now bringing in another thing called two-factor or multi-factor authentication. I think we're all dealing with this in our personal lives. Just to go back to regular websites that we need as consumers, we're often getting a 6-digit code sent to our mobile to enter. So in addition to put a login, we're asking people to actually go in with a second factor in terms of authenticating their identity. And we think that this is going to really give people a sense of comfort. I just watched a piece actually, I think on 60 Minutes the other day that talked about shielding up was really 99% decrease in your ability to be hacked if you have two-factor or multi-factor authentication. So it is the key thing right now to make sure that you're doing things to protect people's identity and their data. And we have plans to, by the way, put this into Velocity as well. So you'll be using multi-factor authentication there. Again, the save for later idea. So you can be halfway through an application and be able to come back and enter back in through to your client dashboard. And that actually gets you back into your application process. And or if you've already done your application, you can come back and have a look at where you are with your document progress as well. I think we got one more click on the screen. No, and we're through to the next one. I think this is for you, Kev.
It is. So as Jeff mentioned right off the get-go, we had lots of feedback that we wanted to, improve the language and the customer friendliness of the application. So we've done a lot of that, and it's not an easy task. What we've really focused on is making sure that we changed up the language to make it simple for the customer to understand. As Jeff mentioned, take that industry jargon out of the application. So instead of saying things like your property is owner occupied, you can simply say, I'm going to live in it. So we've really made the language easy for a client to get through. And it's something that, makes the application just a lot more convenient for them to complete. Other things like, are you a first-time home buyer? We say, is this the first property you've purchased? So again, it's something that we're trying to make sure that is very easy for the customer to understand. And we do those conversions for you into velocities into the right places, so you don't have to ever have to worry about it. We've also removed any of the multi-select and drop downs that come up on an application, making it much more mobile responsive. We've moved towards these cards. So in the left-hand mobile phone here, you can see employed, self-employed, pension. It allows you to select multiple cards, one after another, after you complete the information. And it's a lot more convenient for the client to fill it out. Visually, it also, they can see if they click employed, it's going to highlight it, changes the color, so they know what's going to remain on the screen. We've also employed that in the asset section, and we've done a couple different things to improve the asset section. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But one of the things was adding these cards in, so it was simple for them to say, I've got a checking account, I've got a savings account at this institution, and they complete their balances. We heard a lot before that people would get our online applications in, and the asset section would mainly be blank. So this is something that will really improve the quality of the data you're getting back to. And then lastly, review and submit. We did have a review process before in the application. What we've done is we've made it much more of a summary. So it really allows the client to see what they've completed and what they haven't. And if they forgot to complete something or put something in error, they have an easy way to edit it. We also have the submit button right there where they check off all the consents that they want, all their credit consents, other consents that we're going to talk about as we go through the presentation. And then you receive that application. If the client doesn't click the submit button, it actually still will remain in your lead section of your Velocity dashboard. So you'll be able to see who's filled out something and have that data, and you could follow up with them to say, hey, okay, I see you got through the application, but you haven't checked off the consents, or I'm going to email you those consents for you to complete, and then you can continue on with that application. And then last but not least, minimum validation hurdles. So again, we don't want a client to get frustrated in trying to get you the application. We want you to be able to receive it so you can have that conversation, provide advice to the customer just by them filling out their name, contact details, address, and birth date. And that's all you need, okay? At the end of the day, you're going to find most clients are still going to complete the application in full, or 90% of it. So, but these minimum validation hurdles make it easy for you to just get in that sort of the contact me if the client is getting stuck on the application. We do have plans to actually add different validation or validation that you can control, and it would be like low, medium, and high, and you'd be able to do that. So if you want a client to have more things that they have to fill out, such as employment, or they want to fill out other properties, it will actually make that a validation requirement. But we're going to do it on a low, medium, and high basis. So, but that will come in the future. Okay.
Yeah, just want to slow it down here because that was a lot of information here. But a couple things for people to know is that even though we do have this minimum validation, we're not making it difficult. We still give clients prompts. So if they're at a residence or an employment that's less than 3 years, it does prompt them to add that previous employer, that previous address. So we do all the things to make it as validated as you possibly can. We just don't stop them. We don't put this big red button there that says, hey, you can't go any further unless you give us this. And I think to your point earlier about this review and submit, I think it's really important that we all remember that, you know, what we want to do is to consult with our customers as to what the process should be for them when they're using our client experience and what it takes to get to submission. That submit button is important. Make sure that they know it's important, because if they don't, as Kev mentioned, we still make sure you get updated, even if they're not complete. It just goes into the leads section. So we differentiate between leads and a new deal by one thing, and that is whether or not that customer hit that submit button. So very important to incorporate that into your language as you're consulting with your customers on how to use this tool. Thanks, Kev.
Well, I'm actually done on that screen, Jeff, so it's back over to you.
Yep. Okay. This is something I'm pretty excited about. We know that the sooner that we can get more documents to a lender, the cleaner our commitment letter will be. So look at this online on-screen language. We put forward to the customer that will actually save them some time, because we're generally going to need tax documents, and we can help in collecting those. And we ask them one basic question: would you like us to collect them on your behalf? Now that can mean a whole lot of different things. It could be going to a third-party NOA company. It could very well just be going to their accountant. It could be getting them to find where they are in their filing cabinet. You're going to be in that driver's seat in order to make that happen. But the idea is that you're putting it in front of the customer early, that the importance of income confirmation supported by real documents, not just what you put in an app, is critical. So Kev, you can hit that little button for me here and we can get to the first bullet. So we ask clients to opt in for the collection process. Now, when they do that and they hit yes, this is what takes place. You can hit it again for me. We automatically generated e-sign consent inside Velocity. We do not put it in front of the customer. We give you that choice. All we're doing is we're saying, hey, the client said yes, they want some help in getting these documents. If you choose to use the third-party consent companies, you can simply send this right out of Velocity to your client. And once they've e-signed it, it goes directly to the supplier. That supplier then is empowered to get those documents back right into your file. So Kev, maybe you said the next bullet, and I think it'll kind of cover that. So we give these suppliers a secure document portal to upload it. So effectively what we've done is today we've got sort of 5 or 6 steps in a process to get this NOA. You know, you got to create the consent, you got to send it, they send it back to you, you send it to the supplier, you know, they send the documents back to you and you upload them. What we're trying to do is we're trying to put it in front of that customer early on in the application, automatically get that e-sign consent generated inside the system if you choose to use it, and then getting it right to the supplier once the client has acknowledged it. It's a great way of creating a more fulsome package sooner in your application process. So we're pretty excited about it, and it's what we talk about as being a natural integration. Kev, you can get the next one for me. We're doing something similar with bank account connections. More and more, there's very good quality data in people's banking and what they do. So we've even gone and we've upgraded the service. We've taken it and gone from a normal 90-day to a 12-month history. So once again, here we go. We put a benefit right there in purple. If you securely connect your accounts, maybe we'll save you some time and you won't have to go out and search for these things later. So as long as they're armed with their ABM card and their password, and they do use electronic banking with their financial institution, they do have the ability to get that. So Kev, you can hit that first one to talk about the fact that we've upgraded the service to the 12-month account histories. And then we're going to hit it again, and we're going to show you that we've actually got something that feels almost like an e-transfer system. We've got almost 92% of all the direct core day-to-day banking providers in Canada. And we've modeled this process kind of after a send money or e-transfer. Now, Kev, you've mentioned to me before that a big part of why we wouldn't want to call this as brokers and agents is that it really helps kind of get us that asset information. So maybe you want to touch on that again here.
Yeah. So one of the things, by having this actually as part of the asset section and asking them to connect their accounts, it's automatically going to pre-populate with the checking, savings, all the investment accounts that come up through this service with the up-to-date balances. So connecting those accounts not only gives you the 12 months worth of statements, you get more complete information of what those real-time balances are. So the more real-time you have, You can see where those gaps are when you're looking at that last statement, see what you need to know, and then you're better equipped on handling that application. So it's going to be a great way to get all of the information right up front and not get an application that doesn't have assets filled out on it. So,
yeah. So some great points there. I think one of the things I want to know for everybody is you'll notice on that left-hand nav bar, we've actually got a new thing in there called banking. So it actually prompts them as a separate item. Tell us where you do your day-to-day banking. Would you like to connect the accounts? Yes or no? And if they say no, no problem. They can just tell us where they do their banking and what they've got. So there is still a process to supplement and give us a better sense for what they've got, what they owe, that kind of thing. Not so much what they owe, but what they've got, I should say. And it's important to remember that this is also encrypted as it comes across. So it is secure in coming into our accounts, and they can decide which accounts to share. I would always advise a client to share everything from their account, even from multiple financial institutions, because think about how much it enriches your data. You get current credit card balances, you get current loan balances, you get current mortgage balances, perhaps even on non-subject properties. There's a lot you can do to make it so that the quality of your application goes way up because you've ingested or got your client to ingest for you all of that content around those other things going on in their banking. Next one, Kev. All right. Address prefill. We hear this all the time, and this is just another way to make this consumer friendly. What did we do with address prefill? Just start typing as a customer anywhere and everywhere, and we start filling it in. So new properties, other properties, even employment address. You don't have to do much pre-filling inside of Velocity on addresses, and clients don't have to look up the documents if they just do it in the client experience. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get you as fulsome an application about this. And we hear from lenders all the time, the frequency with which they have to request a full appraisal because the subject property details aren't accurate is probably the greatest reason we're still doing appraisals in this business. So we really need to find ways to get property addresses as well as employment addresses in there. So this is a really great tool, and we're excited about it. We think it's going to save the customer a ton of time and save you a ton of time. Intuitive document requests. I talked about this right at the front. I love this. This has taken us a lot of time and energy to build. It's a real thoughtful process that is basically a cause and effect type of a programming. And basically, you tell us something, and based on you telling us something as a client, we have an opportunity to tell you about what we need in a way of documents in order to support that. Kev, you can hit the first. So it's basically generated from the client's answers, so they tell us a little how they make a living, where their down payment's coming from, telling their story, and it's building their to-do list based on what we require in order to make that happen. And as you can see, again, here we have that dashboard again. It's a great place for it to have a client get a sense for where things are at. And we believe that we're going to have more complete applications, faster submissions, and we're going to build better relationships with our lenders because they're not revisiting our files as documents trickle in. So one of the things I wanted to say to you is we do recognize that the dashboard is a brand new asset. It's going to take time for you to get used to it, clients to get used to it. So please know that the intuitive document request will still also fire by way of an email when the client does submit their deal. They're not required as the only way to get updates on what they have to provide as a to-do on the dashboard. They are going to get something that says, hey, successfully, you've uploaded the application. Here's some of your to-dos for documents. Once again, you see the branding at the bottom, and it comes right out of your email. So it's really, really cool. It's secure, responsive document portal in terms of how they get those documents to us, either through the dashboard or through the link right on this email. And the dashboard itself is interactive. So as you're updating the acceptance of those documents and saying, hey, I got them and they're signed off on, it minimizes what's on their list of to-dos. Really, really cool tool. Last but currently not least is this client dashboard. I think this is the thing we're the most excited about. We studied a whole bunch of companies, both in the US and Canada, on what did they do for assets. And we just knew that in looking at a lot of different examples, that our country could deserve to have something like this. And I know that many great brokers are very, very good at staying connected to their clients, phoning them, keeping them updated with our SMS tool, email templates on their progress. But we wanted to have something like where if on the customer's time, if they just wanted to see where they were at, they were sitting watching a program and go, what do you think's going to happen next? What do we have to do now? We can't remember. Should we call our broker? No, we got our dashboard. It can tell us where we are in terms of progress and what we have left to do. And it analyzes all of those kind of things. So it's something you can always come back to. Somebody mentioned to me a little while ago that it's kind of analogous to giving a regular update like we're used to in our personal lives. We order through our Uber Eats and we see where that driver is. We know where they are in progress. This is that same kind of thing. It gives constant real-time updates on where things are at. Can you hit that first bullet if you like? So it updates clients' progress. As you can see, we do a difference between the application progress versus the document progress. So it separates those out, and those are percentages by applicant. So it's pretty cool that way. It's the overview of the entire process down the left-hand side. And we're going to see this particular coming. I think what we're going to do on the first phase of our launch is really focus on the documents and the document progress. And you're going to see this application progress come in here a little bit later, like a few weeks after our first launch. But we really like this because it shows you where you're at and what to expect is coming up, right? So it's a really cool way of keeping clients connected to, hey, I'm stage 3 of 7 or 2 of 6 or what have you. So it's an overview of the entire process. You can hit that one again for me, Kevin. So this becomes a client's ongoing entry point for clients after their login, right? So they can come back here anytime. And the whole idea is we're going to find ways for you to communicate to them on a regular basis how to get back in here and see where they're at. And once again, as I said off the top, we do know that this is a brand new asset. It's going to take us some time to get comfortable having customers utilize this and customers to think of it as their go-to. But the great news is it's just a great way of enhancing the current client experience by having this asset available to them and always got your brand in front of them. Next one, Kev. Yeah, it's important to know that this is not a one size fits all. Like I said earlier about the intuitive document requests, which will also come by way of an email. We still have the client portal. We still have client experience requests. This is, in the event that you're trying to get out to clients, hey, I still need these documents. We still have other assets beyond this dashboard that you can utilize. And if they're more comfortable, you're more comfortable with them in your system to, get clients' attention, use them. Please use them. The idea is that this is an addition and it does interact with those other 2 assets to make sure that it's up to date. So you want to have one version here and a different version in your client experience or your client portal requests. Last one, Kev. Am I covering this coming soon or do you want to cover this off?
You can go ahead here. I'm just pounding away on the questions here.
Okay. So these are some things that we think are going to happen shortly thereafter. You'll notice here we have this idea about inviting another person to fill out an application. Where this is particularly helpful is if you've got people who are not in the same household. Let's say I'm buying a piece of rental properties with Kevin and, I don't want him to know what I earn and what I owe and all that kind of good stuff. So, but we want to still have a joint application. Or we might need to get parents involved as guarantors. And the parents don't want us to know, it's okay for the broker to know, but they don't want me to know. So the idea is that you can share that application with a third party. It still comes together in Velocity as one, but there isn't that sort of commingling of content for each of the parties to see. And that's even more prevalent now that we have this interactive client dashboard. We don't want the guarantors seeing the primary applicants and vice versa. So everybody will have their own dashboard if they're unrelated. So those invitations will be something that we see coming very soon. And while the intuitive document requests are something that we've created and is built on a system, and this is something Kevin advocated hard for because we know that out in the marketplace, there might be some other people with some version of a smart rule kind of thing, but you have to take what they give you and that's it. We do see over time and involving our brokers and agents in creating their own intuitive document requests, things that you might want to have each and every time. But we need to make sure that everybody understands the downstream impact of when you change something, how it can affect your request for something else. And that's why we're going to stagger it in terms of when we bring it out. Next one, Kev. This one I really like, this idea of gift letters. And before everybody asks, yes, we're going to be working with lenders to try to get them to accept sort of a gift letter template. But wouldn't it be cool when somebody's getting a gift from a family member that you could actually create that gift letter, have it e-sign templated, and have it created and sent right from the applicant to the person providing the gift, right? So really, really cool. We saw this done with a company in the States. It was used very effectively, I think to the tune of about 300,000 individual applications in a calendar year. So it was well received. And it was just a great way of helping. You're going to need it. Why not get it up front if you can? So it's something that we're looking forward to bringing in. And like I said, off the hop, we're going to be trying to work with lenders to try to get it so that they can look at accepting our template. I'm sure that we won't get them all to accept them, but this is how you push change, is by making it part of your process. Next. So that kind of covers off kind of giving you a sense for the visuals, what you think that the customers are going to see. Not what you think, the customers are going to see that based on their intro screen, that dashboard, some of the UI, some of the things Kevin showed you embodied in the phone, the new card system for income and assets. We're psyched about how much better an experience this is going to be for our customers. And we're really excited because to a large extent, this next generation of client experience has been driven by feedback from thousands of current Velocity customers. So we want to thank you that, it's really your input that's helped us build what we think is a better enhanced asset. So we are going live at the end of this month. We're going to start with 50 brokerages. I think actually the number 61, Steve told me today, Kev. So it's probably about 60 brokerages in our customer group. The rollout will be by brokerage, not by agent. And we're already starting the fill outs to broker owners to let them know where they're at. Our plan is over the next coming weeks to make sure that we've got Saturday support within customer care and that we've got some training options for people on the weekends as well. You're going to see some more scripting from us through May on how to position this new client experience to your customers. And I think we're going to be talking a lot about client experience next generation with everybody, May, June, and beyond. So our hope is that we get to the end of June, everybody will be availed of the new client experience next generation. And what we'll effectively be doing is swapping out your old one and putting in the new one. It won't require any admin by you. It'll just be when your brokerage is due to go online, we'll be able to make that change for you. With that, Kev, I don't know if there's anything you want to add before we open it up to any sort of questions or comments from people who have attended today.
Yeah, no, I think just watch for communications going out later this week, because we will announce to everyone when it's live. But once your office is up, we're going to have regular training that's going to be available for everyone, both online, in person, and video training. So there's going to be lots of content for you. As Jeff mentioned, all the scripting will be there. So it'll make it an easy process. We're going to make it as seamless as possible for everyone. We highly encourage everyone to go in and try it as a customer themselves, so they see what your customer actually sees and how it feels. And honestly, you'll be blown away once you go through it. So I can honestly say that.
Yeah, and I don't think we mentioned that we actually have a couple of links. We have them already kind of laid out as just sort of a trial online experience for a client-facing application in both the DLC and the Mortgage Architects kind of look and feel. And you can do them on both any platform as well as a mobile. So we're going to get them out in our communication so people can feel like, hey, I can really play with this, and it doesn't have any impact on my database. It doesn't come in as a Mickey Mouse deal or whatever. You can actually just go through that experience as a customer. And I think that's something that we maybe haven't done well enough in the past, is get people to feel what it's like to walk in the footsteps of the client going through it. So we're trying to simulate that for you before you're actually in a position to depend on that content coming in.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything pressing, Kev, that maybe it doesn't get handled in the Q&A, or that other people would benefit from hearing about that you answered that's not on screen, or that people may not have been following in the Q&A that we should cover? We've covered this.
I've sort of left a couple here that we should probably, just because it's sort of a common question that's come up here. So I'll just list these out and let you talk about them.
Sure.
Ryan's asked, will we be able to disable the NOA and banking connections so that it does not prompt for the client?
No, the NOA connection is just that. It's, do you want some, can we help you in connecting or collecting these documents? So it's really just a yes and no answer. If the client says yes and you choose not to use the NOA service, no problem. You don't have to. We're just going to create the consent inside of the Velocity system for you, should you choose to. But it's really a yes or no sort of thing that the client wants some help. How you deliver that help, I think, is of no consequence. That's kind of your call. As far as the banking goes, the banking is going to be incorporated there all the time. In the event that you want to probe clients to not utilize it, just all they have to do is hit the no, and they can begin to say where they do their banking and put in their asset values.
Okay. This one also came up. So maybe I'll start by answering it, Jeff, but I'm going to hand it off to you once I get to a certain part. The bank account statements besides the last monthly statement. So example, up until March 31st, and it is April 25th today. Will I have the data for the 25 days? The short answer is no. The statements that you receive of those 12-month statements are just that. It's up until whatever their closeout date of their regular statement would be. If you need those 25 days, we are working on something called a verification and income and assets report that Jeff has been talking to lenders about. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. Just sort of the.
Yeah, I think what I would say to I would just say to everybody that these are very good resources that will continue to evolve. So what we do is we start with what we have. We begin to get market acceptance of them. And as we get more market acceptance, we improve upon it. There is a lot of value in the 12 months of bank statements. And what we want to do is not make underwriters or mortgage brokers and agents into forensic accountants. We want to serve up that content that's most important. So we hope to have a report in future that everybody will accept that will show the 26 direct deposits to somebody's core account from an employer. So why call them a job letter? We'll show the money that comes in or out of an account that's greater than 5,000 or 10,000. We'll be able to show information that could build a bit of a story around self-employed income for small business banking accounts. So this thing will begin to evolve as we kind of go. And I think what we wanted to do by highlighting it and having a banking section inside of the client experience is to begin to make it more prevalent in front of the customers. There's more and more customers getting more and more confident and comfortable with these kind of resources. And what we have to do as brokers and agents is get more confident ourselves in what they can provide. There's certainly always going to be things they could do better, things that may have some limitations, and we'll keep trying to make them better as we find out more from our customers about their needs.
Okay. Had a lot of questions about follow-up for outstanding documents. Are they going to be automated? And in the short answer is no, they are not. You can create workflows or CRM drip pieces to remind customers to do that through the CRM. But in the short term, it's something that you're going to have to initiate. That may evolve in the future, but from the launch of this, we're just going to make it so that you're in control of when those follow-ups go out. I strongly recommend to people that when you are doing your follow-ups, you send, they get the initial email that goes in the client portal. Start utilizing SMS for sending the follow-ups for those documents. You can do that directly. It gives them a link directly to the client portal. A lot of people just take pictures of the documents that they have on hand. So you might as well send an SMS because it's, their phone's in their hand at the time, take a picture and away you go. So I don't think that's utilized enough yet. And I do know that agents that do it have a very, very high success rate of getting their client documents in faster. So, okay.
Just to add to that, Kev, I just think that it's really important to know that, our job as a technology provider is to create an enhanced experience, give everybody all the tools that they need. I think once we get into, doing automated this and automated that beyond what we would call passive CRM, then, we find times that people will enable things and go, I don't want that every time. I want to have control. And I think that was the biggest reason why we invested in building, personalized workflows, the reminders in the dashboards, things that allowed you to drive your own client experience. So if you said, hey, I want to go to them every day, not every second day, you could do that. The thing about automation sometimes is that it can put you down a place where, sometimes you don't feel as in control of your process, because there's times where you need it to be faster and times you need it to be slower. And we'd really rather you understand that client experience in a much more intimate way than we ever could. I think the intuitive, the documents, the actual connection between, I said I'd do this for a living and you're asking me for this as a document, those can be delivered. I mean, those are things that we can program. It's when you start getting into taking ownership over timetables that I think you really can get into a problem situation.
Yeah.
My 2 cents.
Jeff, can you maybe talk a little bit about consents as well? I know we talked about the NOA,
Yes.
opt-ins for easy account, but maybe talk a little bit about how we see the process for credit consent and Castle now changing. Yeah,
so it's part of that last screen where we actually have individual sections there for whether or not you're opting in as a customer for ongoing communications by email. That's the castle. And then we've got the piece on credit. We do have some things that you can also add in there as a brokerage around insurance in the event that you're doing something with homeowners insurance with different parties. But the idea is that it's all there for the customer. And then the client, when they get that success email, they've also got a PDF copy of what it is they've consented to. So they've got a written confirmation of what's there available to them. I know one of the things that's come up in relation to consent, certainly from our friends in Alberta, is they want to see something e-signed by the client on a credit consent prior to them taking any action. So it's great that they've accessed it and said, yes, I consent to the credit, but I understand, excuse me, we need signatures too. So we're looking at finding ways to do that, subject to the end of the application, but for right now, it has to be generated in Velocity. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. And from our friends in Quebec, will it be available in French? And the short answer is yes, it will. So all of our client-facing assets are available in French and English. Okay. Okay, I think that is it.
On the French part, the client experience next generation will be out about 6 weeks after it will be the current generation. We're just bringing French out for all broker-facing assets. May 1st, you've probably seen some of the announcements. So we'll probably have about a 6-week lag time before you're going to see the next generation. So you'll have that period of time for French brokerages where you've got both Velocity facing you and client facing assets in French in their current form. And then you'll probably be seeing the new next generation in sort of that 6-week time frame. So likely in mid-June. So I'll bring some clarity on that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. I think that
okay, coming up quarter after the hour. That was great. Great attendance. I think you won the over under, Kev, but I really appreciate all those 200 plus that showed up with us today. I hope you like what you saw. Keep your eyes peeled for new communications and for some training videos, as well as some very, very cool scripting on how to present the next generation to clients as you get available to it. Do you have any parting words before we get off?
Oh, just thanks everyone for joining us. I think we had 231, Jeff, so, or 213 or 231. Might be reversing numbers, but yeah. So thanks again for joining us, everyone. Look for the information this week on client experience, next generation launch. The training lines will be going up and live. So if you want sneak peeks and get ahead of the game before your brokerage goes live, you'll be able to participate in any of that training and see any of the information you need. So saying that, thanks again, everyone. And we will talk to you soon. Take care.